So we all know two of the best mods you're ever going to do to a four-wheel drive is upgraded suspension and bigger tyres. Especially on an old car like this where you might say the suspension isn't doing much anymore. Which is why in this video we're chucking a new lift kit in the car and some bigger tyres. Like honestly, they could be too big, but they're going on. But there is one massive problem. The steering on this thing is definitely not safe at the moment and will definitely not be safe with so we're gonna have to handle that first before we go and chuck the lift and tyres on. So welcome to part one of the Marketplace LandCruiser build, a series where we're gonna turn this thing from a 36-year-old stock car to an old school tourer with some character using only stuff you can buy on Facebook Marketplace. So I don't know if I did a great job of explaining that in the intro, but for this challenge, anything that I need new, that are parts to make it function properly and be safe, I will buy new. So things like relay rod end, tie rod end, pretty important for me staying on the road. But I should probably just show you how bad the steering actually is. So one of the really big problems with the steering is if I go like this, the steering wheel moves a lot. The wheels aren't moving at all, but you can see those tie rod ends moving around a bunch. And then if we go into the car, I'm gonna show you one of the tie rod ends. Ready, listen to this. That is like metal on metal clunking. But before I go and pull the old ones off, I'm just gonna quickly chuck some tape on and label passenger side, driver side, so when I put everything back together, I don't accidentally stuff it up. And now I just get to take them off. Hopefully they're not too seized up. I feel like kind of familiar with what I'm trying to do right here. You'll probably be thinking, Corey, there's no way they're gonna come out. You're hitting it way too soft. And I reckon you would be completely 100% correct. I'm hitting it way too soft. So I just went and got a tool to make it work. Jesus. Now that I've popped that first side off, it's onto the second side. And after almost losing my teeth, I could now move on to the passenger side, but nothing's ever easy. So now I'm gonna have to take the tire off just so I can get that tool on there and then remove the whole assembly. So that was a mission, getting the tie rod ends and the relay rods out of the ends of the tubes. But now they are back in and set at what I think is the correct distancing. I haven't torqued them up to spec yet, which I will do just after this. But a really funny thing I found, which wouldn't be helping with my steering, this is my steering dampener, and listen to this. It goes one way, but it doesn't do much the other way. But I am hoping my lift kit that I'm gonna get will come with one of these, so I am gonna chuck this in for now. I also spent heaps of time cleaning up the ends, degreasing them because there was grease everywhere, probably from when the engine exploded. But now everything looks nice and tidy. Probably could do with a paint, which I might do maybe when I probably take them out again to do the lift. But I just want this thing drivable at the moment. Now that everything is torqued to spec and I've put all the retaining pins in, I'm just connecting my grease gun to add some extra grease because I couldn't really find whether these ones are fully pre-greased. I know that there's definitely some grease in them, but I'm not sure if they're filled. And this version of me is about to make a really dumb mistake. I was pumping the grease gun, feeling the rubber casing on the tie rod end, and I couldn't feel any grease going in there. So I just assumed there was no pressure. So I just unscrewed the cap a little bit. Oh shit. Dumb mistake, shouldn't have done that. I got pretty lucky. I saved all that grease and then finished off what I was doing. But now, do you remember before when I said I didn't want to remove a wheel? You probably thought I was being lazy. But it was because I knew when I reinstalled everything, I would stuff something up and I would have a steering wheel that looked like this. Well, that's not good. Steering wheel is on like a 20-degree angle, but my tires are very straight. Looks like I destroyed my wheel alignment. When I make a really dumb mistake like this, I do often think I should probably just pay someone to do all this for me. But what's the fun in that? Enjoy 2 hours of me probably trying to fix this. Whoa, and now it is the next clip, and we have got the lift kit here. I've not actually fully opened it yet because I might as well do it with you. What have we got going on here? So this actual kit isn't a 60 series kit. The Leaf's a 60 series Leaf, but everything else is a mixed match of all different brands, but mostly the shocks and springs are from Formula. As some of you might know with Toyota stuff, a lot of it is kind of compatible. So I'm assuming we have shock, steering dampener maybe, U-bolts, fixed pins, more fixed pins, shackles, another box of shackles, Super Pro, 24 Toyota bushings, more U-bolts, more U-bolts, more U-bolts. Here we have the rest of the shocks. I know I'm gonna get this question at least one time. What shocks am I using? So they're all from Formula, Fulcrum. So these ones here are 50012. These ones are actually for a 120 series and 150 series Prado. And then the other ones we have is 5001. And these are the rears of an Hilux. I'm not sure what model specifically. And I'm certain that these ones will be going on the front because they're a bit smaller. Actually, take everything I just said back. These will be going on the rear because they have the 2 bolt holes, whereas these ones have the pin with the bolt up top. So these will be going in the front. And then we also have the 30006, which is the steering dampener. And this is from pretty much every LandCruiser ever. Not really. It's like 76, I think 78, 80 series and 105. So cool to see Toyota are kind of just keeping stuff pretty similar throughout a big variety of their cars. I guess now it's time to get the car up. Before I go and actually start taking the front end apart, I'm going to take some measurements because I want to see how much the kit lifts it. It's meant to be 2 inches, but I'm assuming it's going to be more because the leaves on this look pretty old and they're not too curved. We're going to go the whole way up. 920 to the bottom of the flare, and for the back we have 90 pretty much. So we get to compare those measurements when we put the lift kit on and then also when we put the 35s on. So we're going to go up a good 4 to 5 inches I think from its current ride height. Never too big, always big. So first step, 17 mil, we're gonna take the shocks off. I've also just watched a couple videos and people have had to use way too many mallets and blowtorches for my liking. So I'm hoping mine isn't quite as seized up as some of the videos I watch. I mean, good sign, this has grease on the bolts. All right, not bad. And now with the steering dampener off, I get to take the U-bolts off. We're doing one side at a time because the other side will hopefully keep everything in place, I think. Jesus. And where possible, I'm gonna clean up the parts and just put a little bit of paint on there just to try and slow that rusting. It's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be better than it was before. So this is the bit that I'm getting a bit worried for. Hopefully these are actually greased up really well and they will come off. And I'll be able to hammer out the pins and the bushings without too much hassle. Well, that was easier than I thought, but now the back one. Almost forgot about a pretty important part. The bushings and greasing the bushings. And I got extreme pressure truck and tractor grease because this stuff doesn't wash off as easy as like moly grease apparently. Not an expert on this, just the research I did. So I'm just gonna grease a little bit on here when I put them in, and then we'll grease the pins and slide them in as well. There wasn't much rust, but I did think it would be a good idea just to quickly hit it with the white brush, and then I just hit it with the rust converter again, just to seal it up. And now I'm just gonna grease my first ever pin, because I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I've never installed a lift kit on any four-wheel drive, so this is my first. Easier. And finally, get to drop my first leaf in. I'm also making sure that I put the greasable side where it is kind of accessible. Well, that was a bit of a mission, but to get it in, you can't go in through the bottom, you come up to this section, and then you slide it in and then it will drop down into place. And then the bushing will kind of rest in here while you put the pin in and stuff on. So what you're watching here is me figuring out how this all works. I basically tightened up the greasable side a little bit just to have some pressure on it so it wouldn't spin. And then I went to the other side and you can see it pulling that little washer straight into the bushing. I'm also currently not talking anything to spec yet because I'm sure that I'm gonna do something wrong and I'm gonna have to take it apart. So everything's just kind of getting hand tightened and a little bit more. And now that I've used the correct U-bolts, I'm onto a kind of tricky bit, which is lifting the spring up with the shock mount and the U-bolt plate attached to the bottom, lining it up with the pin, which you can see here, and then lining all the U-bolts up while the spring's under tension. After a little bit of mucking around, I don't think I'm gonna get it to line up. Tried jacking it up, everything. So I think the best solution is gonna be to get started on the other side, and then I will have the diff pretty much fully disconnected, and I should just be able to like drop it in there. But it's the exact same process as this side, so I'll see you in a couple seconds. The other side is done. I am just trying to line up those bolts, and the diff can move quite a bit. It's currently jacked up, but when I drop the jacks, I can move it a good couple centimeters. But it seems to be on a weird tilt, and I'm not sure how I'm gonna fix that. Oh, both sides. So I got both sides lined up, but you should hopefully be able to see the pin, like it's not sitting flush. So I don't know whether as I'm tightening it, it will flatten out. I'm also gonna take this time to apologize for this being the first time I've posted a car video in like 4 months. I was up north having fun. Stuff always takes longer than I think it's going to when you're doing build stuff. But now I should hopefully be in the swing of it again and making weekly videos maybe. We'll see how we go, but since I haven't posted in so long, this video is gonna do bad. So please, if you're watching this video right now, leave a comment, or if you can't think of a comment, a like will be good. Oh no. You know what, maybe I was overcomplicating it. All I need to do is tighten the end with the big gap. The gap has flattened out, so I'm gonna go do the same on the other side, and then I'll start tightening all four. And I caught a glimpse of this, my sway bar. I'm an idiot. I reckon I might need a new bush, and hopefully not a new sway bar, because I could have potentially bent that. You live and you learn. I don't really know what I learned there, apart from that to watch out for the sway bar might bend. But I'm just gonna go around and talk everything to spec. And if you're wondering where you get the torque specs from, you can go on Google and find the 60 series manual pretty easily on Dropbox. And then you can search the document and get all the specs for what you need. So everything's all torqued up now, and now we finally get to chuck the new shocks in. I've got all the bushings and stuff included with the kit, and then it's time to chuck the tire on and get this thing under its own weight again. I've got one little problem here. This is the original bushing. You can see how much material, there's that tiny little ribbed edge. That would be the only bit of material that's between there and the pin of the shocky. I think 12 mil, the old ones are 10. So if I was to drill that out, all of that material would be gone. And as you can see, the Fulcrum ones are just way better quality and way more material here, so they're gonna last a lot longer. And after a bit of research, people do drill these out. So I'm gonna be stepping this to whatever size that is. I got my Christmas tree drill bit, we're going for it. Ah, burning metal, burning metal. Ah, this is cooked. I'm like lying on fire. Hopefully this will just pop in nicely. More drilling. Oh yeah, that's the way. Stop, look at that. I just drilled into whatever metal this is, steel or whatever, and then didn't paint it. So that would have rusted out over the next few years. So we're gonna fix that quickly. Second time lucky, I let the paint dry. Now I'm just gonna drop it in, slide up. Now I'll go quickly do the other side. I kind of just realized I forgot about a pretty important part, steering dampener. But while I was under here, I did want to bring something up. I don't know, you can see the tensioner there, like see all the rust on it. Then if you look at the front of the sump, yeah, the front of the sump, how rusty it is, and then down on the step part of the sump down there. So when I got the engine rebuilt, they repainted a bunch of stuff to make it look good. They sandblasted it all by hand and then painted it, but to me, it looks like they used no primer. Like they sandblasted it, a lot of the rust should have come off. But what's the point of painting it if you're not gonna prime it or use like a rust converting base layer to then paint on top of it so the rust just doesn't come through like that? I wouldn't be even bringing it up. It was like a backyard job or something, but I spent a fair amount of money on this rebuild. I don't know, should I be complaining or am I overreacting? It's good. Way better. It's going to be a monster truck with 35s on. So I'm spinning the car around to get the back out so it's easier to film and stuff. But I thought this was really funny. You can really see how big the new lift is. I come around to the side, fully slammed. Kind of looks cool. Maybe I'll just keep it. So now it is time to go through and do the back. I'm not going to run you through step by step like I did for the front, but you'll get the idea from the video, and if I run into any hiccups along the way, you will see them and we'll talk about it. I just really want to get this finished so we can get the new tires on as soon as possible. So you will just see me now smashing that back hanger out. These ones have pretty much zero grease on them, so I'm expecting they're all going to be an absolute mission to get out. So you're going to remember that earlier in the video I was a bit worried that the bushings might be absolutely shot. I kind of was like, oh, they're not too bad. This one took 30 minutes to get out. Yeah, that'll do it. It's been a long day. So I've ran into a pretty big problem. I can't get this side here to line up. You should be able to see in that hole, just the right hand side of it, that is the pin that needs to drop in. That side is sorted. That's a good like 1.5 centimeters it needs to move. I think my problem might be, if you can see that, this whole side here on the absolute piss. I'm assuming it's because the exhaust was in the way and I couldn't get the bushings in properly. So I think I'm gonna have to take this whole side off and see if I can have a crack at trying to get that sorted better. Fun. So I just disconnected the rear drive shaft because I cannot get this thing to line up. This is kind of my last attempt, and then I don't know what I'm going to do if this doesn't work. Ah! Yeah! Ah, pinch my finger. Got it in there. Replay what just happened in the background while I'm talking over this. So you can see me jacking the car up, and then I could hear something going and have a little look. I was not paying attention to the spray can. I left it under the leaf. So as I was jacking this side up, this side started to drop. It was on there and it started spraying paint everywhere. Surely I have to be the first person in the world to ever do that. That is hilariously stupid and funny at the same time. So just quickly drove this thing down onto the street, and holy shit, this thing is big. I used to be able to see the roof. I definitely can't do that anymore. I think it's gonna be too big with the 35s. Let's measure. So starting up the front, how big have we gotten? We are now at 995 mil. That is high. And then at the back we have 97. That's a big 2-inch lift. So remember those measurements and stick around to the end, because we'll be measuring it again with the 35s on, because we'll see how much total lift we've gained. And before you get to see me install the new tyres, I've got one quick note for those of you following along at home. I went to get it wheel aligned with the new lift and the tyres, and they told me I had to get some caster correction wedges added. So if you're going to install lift and 35s, it'd be way easier to install those while you're doing your lift, because it just goes between the leaf pack and the diff. So it'd be nice and easy. You already take them off. I regret not doing that earlier. After another really big time jump, I finally got word that the tyres had arrived. Quickly went the next morning and grabbed the brand new 35s, which is what you can see here. We have one of the old ones, which was the spare, which is going to a friend. Now we can see how big these, not true 35s, 315s, but I'm just gonna call them 35s. Jesus. Compare them to the BT. So these are 295s, these are 315s. I did also try to put 35s on this, but I did not do that successfully. Oh, let's go put it on the 60. After going muddies on the BT, I decided for the 60, being a pretty slow truck-like car, we would go all-terrains, and Falken came out with some AT4s. I had the AT3s on the BTs, so I'm excited to try the ATs again, which I did love. I just wanted to go with the 295s. That's the only reason I went muddies. I'm keen to try the new ones out. And seeing as I live in WA, I kind of thought the muddies are a little bit of a waste, because we're mostly doing beach sand driving anyway. So it's not really neat. So hopefully I've got the car jacked up high enough, because if not, I don't really know how I'm gonna get these on. Oh, it looks pretty good. Oh no, I don't think it's high enough. We're just gonna ignore how janky all of this is and just pretend like I did this properly. Well, let's stand back up. That looks pretty sick. It's actually crazy how much of a difference it's gonna look at the end of the video compared to the beginning. So I got a bunch of new wheel nuts, $95 for enough just to do the whole car. They're not even good ones, they're just, well, they're decent ones from Repco. I thought that'd be way cheaper. But enough talking, here it is, the moment you've all been waiting for, the 60 series on a subtle 2-inch lift and 35s. And this is it. How good does it look? Let me know down below what you think I need to do next. But now we are going to do the final measuring. The front was 920 and now we have 1040, which is 120 mil, 12 centimeters of total lift over where we were before. And then for the back, we were at 900. And now we have 1030, 13 centimeters. So that whole process took us up about 12 centimeters, which is pretty crazy on such an old car and especially on leafs. Next video, we are going to test this thing. We're gonna do swivel hubs first, and then we're gonna go send it in the dunes. Hopefully if nothing changes.